All right, we are live. Welcome everyone to the Mint Doors 12 days of live streams, where we talk with 12 highly accomplished entrepreneurs who are balancing their huge success with their well-being. And I'm super excited to kick it off with Dr. Josie Dovidio. Thank you so much for being here today, Josie.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here in the Mint Door. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Now, Josie is a longtime dentist, and after 22 years of practicing, she actually made the really difficult decision to sell her practice because she was dealing with some health-related issues that stemmed from the prolonged stress of dentistry. And after working through that personally, she decided that she wanted to give back, and she now helps dental professionals undo what dentistry does to them, not just physically, but their mind and their spiritual beings as well. So she's the founder of Yoga for Dentists and the Crown of Wellness program. So what a wonderful guest to have to kick off our first live stream.
Woo-hoo! Yeah. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, we're super excited for you to be here. And in the next 10 minutes, we're going to be asking you some questions that will be a way for you to share with our audience the incredible things that you are doing for your well-being. So we'll start off with question number 1. And we want to know 2 or 3 habits or routines that have helped you move the needle and make a difference this year.
I love this question. And people hearing my answer might be stumped. But the best way I have found to move the needle is to pause. Mm-hmm. Periodically pause. Pausing to quiet the mind, pausing to meditate. And I don't mean in chunks of time. I mean daily, maybe even hourly, right? Mm-hmm. Depending on what's happening in your life. Because what I found happens is most dentists, at least the dentists that I work with, are go-getters. We've been that way since, kindergarten, which is why we managed to do all of the schooling and become, doctors. And so we're used to going at that pace. And maybe it's a function of getting older. Maybe it's just a function of not being able to sustain that pace long term. It just gets harder to focus if you don't give your brain a pause and that break. Mm. And so when I find myself flustered for whatever reason, I know I have to take a break. And that might mean, I'm in a home office now, might mean going outside in my yard and getting some fresh air. It might mean standing up and moving my body, a few jumping jacks, a yoga pose, whatever, but just changing and giving the brain a break. And that helps reset everything. Mm-hmm. And so that's been honestly the biggest thing, because I am inclined to overwork, especially when you feel like you're in the flow of something, like you just want to keep going, you want to meet a deadline, you want to finish, but it gets harder and harder to focus and you're less productive. Mm-hmm. So if you want to move the needle, if you want to produce more, which I don't love that term, but we know this term in dentistry. So if you want to be more productive, pause, take a break, regroup, reset, breathe. And you'd be amazed at how much more focused and clear you are when you get back to the task at hand.
Mm. The power is in the pause.
Mm-hmm. The power of the pause.
Yeah.
That's an excellent answer. And I love how it is so relevant to us go-getters that just go, go, go all day, every day. Mm. So wonderful advice. Awesome. As we kind of come to the close of 2022, I'm always curious. I love this question because I'm always curious, what podcasts, books, movies, what were your highlights this year in media that you consumed?
All right. So I have like literary ADD. I'm always reading like 10 books at a time. because like, I'll read like a chapter or a few pages and I'm like, oh, that's so good. And I don't want to move on yet because I want to let that sort of sit in my brain. So then I'll pick up another book and read that for a while. So it's always hard for me to say what is my favorite. But I can tell you what's been impactful for me this year. The first is a book called Next Level, Your Guide to Kicking Ass, Feeling Great, and Crushing Goals Through Menopause and beyond, right? So when you start to enter in age 40 and beyond, you know, we start to enter into this perimenopause phase of life, menopause. It's sort of nebulous. We don't really talk about it too much in our culture, so nobody really knows what they're doing. And a lot of us who are trying to stay healthy and exercise and eat right and all of the things are doing so based on scientific facts and studies of people who are not our age. So predominantly all the health studies are done on younger males or younger females, and those are fewer and far between. And so I appreciated this book, which is actually written for high performance athletes, but she does, and I'm not a high performance athlete, but she really does a good job breaking down hormonal changes and things that happen in perimenopause, menopause, and how therefore your nutrition and exercise needs to change to accommodate that in order for you to prevent body composition changes that you're going to notice if you're not paying attention to that. So that's been really impactful. And I would say the best way it's impacted me is that I'm not exercising for as long. So it's bought me back some time. I'm just exercising differently, and I can tell that it's actually more effective in my body. So that's been a big bonus for me this year.
That sounds really interesting.
And then I also spent my year kind of watching nostalgic things. For example, Top Gun came out, you know, like that's something from several years of youth. Cobra Kai, you know, which is based on the Karate Kid thing.
Yes.
Cobra Kai, by the way, so cheesy, but I will watch every single episode because it's just that nostalgic thing. And I think it's just been fun to see these modern takes on things from our youth. But also just it's been kind of cool to just remind myself of what life was like before dentistry, right? Because sort of, when you're doing this job long enough, this career long enough, you sort of forget what things were like before you had it. So it's been kind of nice to revisit some of those feelings or cultural references and things of the past. So that's been fun.
That's awesome. It helps you. I think that's great because it helps you remember that you're a person bigger than just a dentist. Like there's a lot of nooks and crannies and folds and creases to your personality besides just being a dentist.
Right. And that's hard to remember if you're not intentional about remembering.
Yeah, really good point.
It is. Well, I mean, this has led us beautifully onto our next question, because you're talking about like looking back and remembering those things from the past that you can still enjoy today. But if we're looking forward into 2023 and you're visualizing your future next year, what do you see?
I see a lot of growth, but in a restrained way. And I'm kind of spitballing here, but it's like I have a lot of projects on the back burner that I hope to give birth to in 2023. But again, my tendency is to overwork and to, you know, be a high achiever. And so I'm always fighting that urge. And that's, you know, and that comes with mindfulness. What am I trying to accomplish by pushing these things out so fast? Why can't I just go with the flow and let it come out when it's meant to come out? You know, and you know, I have goals, like everybody has goals, and I have all of the things. But what I've learned over my wellness journey is that accomplishing my goals at the expense of my mental or physical health is pointless. Pointless. And so, you know, sometimes there are financial reasons to work hard and do all of the things. Okay, I get that. But can we take a step back? Why am I so financially pressed? How can I live differently so that I don't have to have this extra pressure for financial achievement, right? So it's kind of a big conversation for the time slot we have, but I do see growth, but in a purposeful, intentional way, a mindful way.
That's excellent to hear from you as a achievement junkie, one achievement junkie to another, and a good reminder to be intentional. I love it. Awesome. So looking ahead at your vision, and I know a lot of people pick a word for the year, but do you have a word or a phrase or a saying or something that's going to kind of anchor you to 2023?
Yes. And I was thinking about that because now's the time of year where you start to think about these things, right? I'm starting to revisit my vision for next year and what goals would I like to achieve and what would I like to have in my life. And it's funny because my word for 2022 was flourish. Flourish. And, you know, flourish conjures up this image of like growth and vibrancy and good things. And so I haven't settled on a word for 2023, but I've been trying to label what it is that I'm feeling for 2023. And so I can best name what I'm feeling with two different words that are not traditional words of the year. One is marinate, and the other one is simmer, right? And so I feel like I have all of the ingredients. I want 2023 to be the year where I let things marinate so they can come to their full expression, the full marrying of flavors to be ultimately what it's going to be. But again, because I have that tendency, simmer feels right because it feels like things are already cooking, but at a very slow boil, right? And so that is what I'm feeling. Those words just aren't as cool, like on a bracelet or a tattoo or something. So I don't know if I'll pick another word. But that's really the feeling I have for 2023. And we'll see how it evolves.
I think that sounds delicious, actually. So
I think maybe our question should have been, what recipe best represents you?
Yeah, there you go.
Yes. Yes.
It should have been. So how can our listeners learn more about you and your work and maybe what's coming up for you now in 2023?
Well, I think that one of the easiest ways is to be either following in the Yoga for Dentists Facebook group, or if you're an Instagram person, I am also on Instagram. I find Instagram harder to interact with people because, you know, on Facebook, you can post articles and a bunch of other things that you're limited to doing on Instagram, at least easily. And I'm also going to I have a YouTube channel, Yoga for Dentists YouTube channel, and I have plans to produce more content for that in 2023. But predominantly right now, most of my time is spent working with my clients in the Crown of Wellness program. So if people want to learn more about that, I have a free webinar called How to Enjoy Life in Dentistry Without Sacrificing Your Body and Mind. But yeah, anybody can feel free to connect with me through DM or email or all of the things. I'm usually pretty good about checking something every day to see if anybody's trying to reach out to me. But yeah, I'd be delighted to chat with whoever had any questions.
Awesome. Well, we have enjoyed this conversation very much, and taking away the power of the pause and the power of a good recipe, I think, are two great recommendations. Thank you for spending some time and sharing with us how you blend your success with your well-being. And thank you for all you do working with dental professionals to help them have more enjoyment in life than just working and being stressed.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for including me and for the work that you're doing. I mean, it's a beautiful thing that we can partner together to help the dental professionals, you know, in our community.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, happy holidays. And we will see everyone back here live tomorrow for our next guest on our 12 days of live streams. All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.